It's not so bad, Warren said, talking to Chelsea. The dead don't bother me. The hard part is fighting boredom. When I'm not making my rounds through the boneyard, I sit in the guardhouse and listen to the radio. He was trying hard not to stare at her breasts. She was a hot little thing, if only she were a couple of years older. Maybe when she was legal, she would remember what a cool guy he was, helping her in her hour of need. Shit, who was he kidding? She was way out of his league. A rich bitch like her would never go for a security guard. The man could dream, though, couldn't he? And then masturbate to it later. Warren was distracted from Chelsea's breasts by a low thud behind him, somewhere deep in the cemetery. "Did you hear that?" he said, turning toward the sound. "Hear what?" Chelsea said. "A crash or a bang?" "I didn't hear anything," she said. "Turn your radio down for a second," he said. Chelsea ignored Warren's request. "There's no one here except us," she said. "How much longer is your friend going to be?" Warren gazed across the cemetery, but he saw no sign of intruders. "Huh? Oh, he'll be along any minute now," he said. "My grandmother's going to kill me if I'm late to the party. Maybe you should go ahead and take the old tire off so you can put the new one on as soon as your friend gets back." Warren watched the crypts on the other side of the graveyard, standing in their faded opulence. He was torn between his duty and his desire to please the girl. If someone vandalized the graves on his watch, he'd be fired. On the other hand, Chelsea's father and grandmother were the two most influential people in town. A bad word from her could get him fired too. He didn't see anything and hadn't heard anything else either. Maybe it had just been his imagination. He'd heard strange noises at night before, though never in the daylight. Perhaps the fact it was Halloween was getting to him. "I'd be very grateful if you could hurry things up," Chelsea said. How grateful, Warren wondered. "Okay," he said. "I'll get you taken care of." "You're a real gentleman," she said. Warren took the lug wrench and had just started to work on the tire when he distinctly heard a scream from inside the cemetery. That was definitely not his imagination. He jumped to his feet and grabbed his walkie-talkie. "Jim, get back here now!" he called to his partner. "Somebody's in the cemetery!" Warren started for the gates. "Wait!" shouted Chelsea. "You can't leave me by myself!" Jim called back over the radio. "What's going on?" "Screams. People are screaming," Warren said. "Get your ass back here on the double." He hung the walkie-talkie back on his belt and started running towards the crypts. "Come back!" Chelsea shouted. Warren hadn't gone too far when a boy dressed all in black came running from between two tombs, heading his way. Even from a distance, Warren could sense the boy was terrified. The kid looked over his shoulder as if he were being chased. Warren pulled out his revolver, slowing down to a walk. A few seconds behind the boy, a girl appeared. She was naked. "Holy shit," he said. "What the fuck was going on?" Warren stopped as the boy drew closer, but the kid wasn't slowing down. "Hey, stop," Warren ordered. "Don't shoot," the boy said, holding up his hands. Still, the kid did not slow. "Hold up, what's going on here?" Warren said. It was obvious the boy wasn't going to stop. So Warren made a grab for him, but the kid slipped past. "Stop, goddammit!" There's no way he was going to catch him now. Warren spun around. The girl ran right up to him. She had short, jet-black hair and her nose was pierced. "Oh, God!" she cried. "Oh, God, you gotta help him!" "Slow down, girl. Tell me what's going on." His eyes couldn't help but make a quick trip up and down her naked body. She was skinny and pale. Her pussy was bare except for a small patch of hair above her clit. "She's killing him!" the girl exclaimed. "You've got to help him!" "Who? Who's killing who?" "Our friend. He's still back there and this woman attacked him." "Where are they?" "In the tomb, the Eddington tomb." "The Eddington crypt?" Warren's heart lurched in his chest. He was so fired. Any tomb besides the Eddingtons, and maybe he'd stand a chance of keeping his job, but not now. Tell me you're joking. Do I look like I'm joking? She said. Warren shook his head. He couldn't believe this was happening. You gotta do something! All right, take me to them, he said. He started off across the graveyard with the girl in the lead. Warren watched her ass as she ran. If he was going to get fired, he might as well enjoy what time he had left on the job. Like the rest of her body, there wasn't an ounce of fat on her butt. Damn, he wished he was a teenager again. The girl slowed as they reached the crypts. With the sun low in the western sky, the tombs cast long shadows, darkening the narrow avenues between them. Warren's spine tingled as the houses of the dead seemed to press in on him. He never liked patrolling this section. He knew the way to the Eddington mausoleum, but he allowed the girl to guide him because he wasn't sure she was on the level. There, she said, pointing towards the Eddington tomb. The door hung wide open like an invitation from the dead. Hurry before it's too late. Come on, he said, taking a step forward. She shook her head and took a step back. I can't, she said. He grabbed her wrist. Yes, you can, he said. If this was a trick, he didn't want her getting away. She tried to pull away. No, I can't go back in there. You don't have to go inside, but you're coming with me if you want any help, he said. Reluctantly, she gave in. With his revolver in his right hand and her wrist in his left, he led her to the mausoleum. Reaching the columns outside the crypt, he let her go. Stay put, he told her. Taking the flashlight off his belt, he stepped up to the door and shined the beam through the opening. He saw 2 sarcophagi in the middle of the tomb. One of them was open. Warren called into the darkness, "Whoever's in there, come out with your hands up!" There was no reply, or any sound whatsoever. He looked back at the girl. Her eyes were wide with fear. This really wasn't a prank. Swallowing nervously, Warren took a cautious step through the door. He scanned the sepulchre with the flashlight. Other than the buried dead, the crypt appeared empty. I have a gun, he said. You better come out now. Again, there was only silence. Warren took a couple of steps towards the open sarcophagus. His skin crawled with unease. He'd feel better if he could actually see someone. He didn't like being alone with all these dead people so close to him. He circled around the sarcophagus just in case someone was hiding on the other side. Seeing nothing, he stepped up to the open coffin. What he saw inside there horrified him. There were 2 dead bodies lying inside, one on top of the other. That in itself wasn't all that great of a shock. The corpse on the bottom was obviously the grave's original occupant, dressed in a suit and tie from a bygone era. Covered in the dust of time, the man lay on his back with his arms resting at his sides. He looked about as well as one could expect for a corpse his age. It was the body on top that wasn't right. He lay haphazardly on his stomach, arms and legs twisted in unnatural positions as if he'd been tossed there. He wore black jeans and a leather jacket, but there wasn't a speck of dust on them, as though he had just been buried. But that couldn't have been the case. His flesh was even more desiccated than the corpse on the bottom. He was nothing more than dried skin and bones. His glazed, lifeless eyes stared at Warren from deep within their sockets. His mouth was open in a silent scream. Warren backed away from the macabre display. He needed to get the hell out of there. "Warren!" Jim called over the walkie-talkie. Warren nearly jumped out of his boots. "Where are you?" Holding the flashlight under his armpit, Warren grabbed his radio. "I'm in the Eddington crypt," he said. "One of the graves has been disturbed. 2 kids said their friend was attacked here. One of them, a boy, ran off. Keep an eye open for him. Over." "Roger that. I've got him right here. He's scared out of his mind. Keeps babbling about zombies." "Did you say zombies?" "Yeah, must be high on something. So what about this friend of theirs? Did you find him? Or?" "I'm not sure. I found the body, but I don't think it's him. There's something weird about it." "What's wrong with it?" "Hard to explain. You have to come see for yourself. I'm getting out of here. Over." You sound spooked. You want me to come hold your hand? Fuck you, Warren said, before hanging the walkie-talkie back on his belt. Wait until you see this shit, then we'll see who needs his hand held. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden scream from outside. Look out! He started for the door, then stopped, as someone stepped into the doorway. Warren couldn't tell who it was at first. He or she was silhouetted by the light coming in from outside. Warren aimed the revolver and flashlight at the shadowy figure. What he saw froze him in terror. The thing before him could not be. It looked just as dead as the corpses in the coffin, and now it was walking straight towards him.